Hey guys, midweek energy update. Let's get into it. We do have the sun in square to Neptune this week, which is sort of a primary energetic force that you might be dealing with. Low physical energy levels, feeling just sort of drained, maybe a little bit out of it, a little bit like in la la land out there. That is what is to be expected when we have a harsh aspect going on, especially between the sun and Neptune, especially between the signs of Gemini and Pisces. There's some type of general distortion in the informational field right now. Don't operate under the delusion that you know exactly what's going on right now. Definite lack of clarity, lack of transparency. Be very careful what you buy into. Be very careful what you believe, what side of the story you're aligning yourself with as we move through the energy this week. And there's a lot of water energy. We have a tidal wave of this water energy coming through this week. We, of course, have this very prominent Neptunian, Piscean energy, but we also have personal planets entering Cancer on Monday. Venus and Mercury entered Cancer. On Friday is our summer solstice and the sun will enter Cancer. We've also had a Scorpio moon going on all week. So we've got Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, all highlighted right now. The moon in Scorpio is actually going to be trining Neptune today on Wednesday as well. So there could be literal issues with water, excessive water causing conflict or problems somehow going on this week. And we've got a lot of energy to talk about, you guys. So let's get into our report of the day. Let's look at everything going on in the context of the astrology and what it might mean for us as we move towards the weekend. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of the report, I've done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these overviews, just to get a more holistic energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be messages in there for you. That will be at the end. Let's start at the beginning with the astrology. Now, if you've been following along with the astrology, you know that we are in a week this week that is being characterized by this big, powerful square happening between the sun in Gemini and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. We also actually had Mercury and Venus squaring Neptune this past weekend, which is very contrary actually to the energy that we had playing out last week, which was also being characterized by some big squares playing out between the signs of Gemini and Pisces. But the planet squaring the sun and Mercury and Venus last week was Saturn, whereas this week it is Neptune. Now, it's interesting because we actually, even though Saturn and Neptune are very polarized energies, they are literally almost inversions of each other, they are very different. In the sign of Pisces, they could, and in the square to the Gemini planet, specifically the sun that's happening this week, they could honestly be giving a bit of the same results, at least in terms of the informational flow and our ability to communicate clearly and properly. Last week, when we had the sun and Mercury and Venus in the sign of Gemini squaring Saturn in the sign of Pisces, this was definitely creating communication and information flow blockages, maybe impediments to our ability to get a message across, or literally just actual blocks or restrictions or limitations in our ability to communicate somehow, could have been communication just not going through. But this week, we actually have the squares happening and playing out with the planet Neptune, which could be having a lot of the same impacts on the communication and on the information, but instead of it being because of blockages, it's likely to be because of breakdowns. Saturn controls, it limits, and it structures, but it is restraint, it is constriction, it is blockage, it is limitation. Neptune dissipates, it erodes, it makes things fade away. So connectivity issues with the Gemini square, both last week and probably this week as well, but for different types of reasons. Last week it was the blocks, and this week it could literally just be the breakdown, things being worn out. And I will say also, you're gonna really want to be careful with devices, okay, communication devices, phones, tablets, whatever, in the presence of water, because we've got a square going on between Gemini, which would rule communication devices, and or GPS or anything kind of technical that helps us communicate information. And Pisces, Neptune, this is obviously water, and squares bring conflict, squares bring issues. So I would be extra careful this week, use extra caution when it comes to devices in the presence of water. And also this could really indicate, like, it's not just the hyper dominance of the Neptunian energy right now, which is also happening at 29 degrees of Pisces. This is a significant degree. This is the last degree of the entire zodiac. Like, we're talking about some true cleansing, okay, that's underway here. But there's also a lot of other water energy that is coming in and is very strong, specifically on Wednesday this week, considering that we now have both Mercury and Venus in the sign of Cancer, and we have a Scorpio moon that is transiting in a trine to Neptune at 29 degrees on Wednesday, when we've got the square going on between the sun and Gemini. There could be like definite disruptions to information or communication, or there could just be like flooded, like as a result of rain or excess water, or flooding somehow, water causing issue, water causing conflict, or creating conflict in our ability to communicate or move around somehow. Just, you know, one way perhaps that this energy could manifest, because we've got such an abundance of water that is just like tidal wave coming through right now. It's also making me think sort of like earthquake, tsunami potential, because on Wednesday as well, we have the moon in Scorpio forming an opposition to Uranus and Taurus. This is like shocks, surprises, things happening unexpectedly before hitting the trine to Neptune. So there could just be some like unexpected or some like earth impacting water issues that happen somehow. So just wanted to put that out there, something to keep in mind. If you find that coming up in your reality, we are literally just primed for that type of thing. Also, energetically this week, we will have the sun entering Cancer as well, giving us more water energy. Tomorrow on Friday will be the summer solstice, and then on Saturday, we're having our full moon on the axis of Cancer and Capricorn. The moon will be in Capricorn, the sun will be in Cancer as well. So we've got lots of water energy coming through right now. We're moving into stronger water energy, and just this Neptune influence this week is probably dominating energetically the way that our experiences are manifesting, okay? So we already know, and I was talking about in my last video for Monday, we don't want to take anything too seriously this week. When we've got such a strong Neptunian energy going on, especially by harsh aspect, things are really not as they appear. There's a major distortion. Nothing is clear. Nothing is transparent. Nobody's really being super straightforward. And it's just not really a great time to like engage and assert ourselves in the context of like trying to start anything or bring anything into fruition or like truly make anything actually happen. Disengaging is actually much better in the energy that we have going on this week with all of this water sign energy. The tide is in. Okay, it's gonna go out, and it's gonna go out and take some things with it that have been needing to go for a while. And remember, 29 degrees, this is the last degree of the zodiac where Neptune is right now, and these squares are happening at 29 degrees. And these are mutable squares as well. Mutable signs are about transition. They're about like one thing turning into something else. They're about flexibility, going with the flow. And with the like just the 29 degree, last degree of the zodiac, all this water sign energy, it does to me feel like we are finally at a point of some major release. Specifically, it's probably going to have to do with our ideas and belief systems somehow that may have been keeping us stationary or keeping us detached from the like some type of truth in regards to our own like abilities or potential or capability, somehow existing within some type of an illusion that maybe had been a bit fear-based, but nonetheless was like diminishing our ability to like step into a fuller version of ourselves that we're really being called forth into right now. So things that are no longer a reflection of that path and who we're becoming, and the changes and the transformations that are happening within us and, you know, in our world around us as a result now, those are what are going to be washed out. And what will be left remaining when this energy passes are really the things that can support us in our process of growth and transformation going forward. There's also an interesting North Node correlation that is happening alongside the Neptune square at 29 degrees on Thursday. The moon in Sagittarius, and we'll talk about this later in the report, will actually be coming into a trine with the North Node. Like there is, you know, it is like divine intervention, divine timing, divine alignment, that things like this is the time for certain things that have been working their way to a conclusion, to arrive at that conclusion, and for things to separate and come apart and go in separate directions. And so if you find yourself sort of at a crossroads in that regard, you're right in alignment with where I feel like this particular energy pattern is trying to take all of us right now, okay? But I will say also, and I talked about this in my last video, like this is the time, if you think about the energy of being and the energy of doing, the energy of like being more receptive and the energy of being more active, this is not a strong, like assertive masculine energy. We are in insane levels of water energy this week. It's about being able to surrender. It's about being able to go with the flow. It's about being able to receive if something comes to us along those lines, and to disengage and to disconnect, get some extra rest. With the sun squaring Neptune, Neptune breaks things down. It can break down our vitality. It can break down our health. It can break down our sense of like personal well-being and stuff like that if we are pushing ourselves too hard in this energy. If you feel like you need to get some extra sleep, if you feel like you need to take a break, if you feel like you need to just like rest, that is what you need to do. And actually, progress will come from the ability to step back and withdraw and this energy. And remember, we have these planets moving into Cancer as well. Cancer is a sign of the crab. This is a time, actually we're moving into a time, and this week is also a time to be more withdrawn, to come back into ourselves, to, you know, TLC, like give ourselves what we need to feel comfortable, like self-care, nurturing. That is where we want to more so gear our energy than trying to be like active and assertive and engaging in the world this week. This is a week about disconnecting from reality. If you can go on a little vacation, if you can like get out of town, if you can go on a retreat somewhere, or just spend some extra time in like prayer or meditation or communion with the divine, or even like going within yourself, searching for maybe answers. A lot of questions could definitely be coming up in the energy as it's presenting right now as well. And also, whenever we're dealing with a square to Neptune, especially with the sun, I talked about this a lot in my last video, it's likely to present kind of like the stark contrast between maybe our ideals about things and what we've actually been able to achieve at this point in time. So people can feel down on themselves, very discouraged, very depressed, but it's also, Neptune is also the illusion, and nothing that goes on in Neptune energy really has a tremendous amount of staying power. Like it's not, nothing will grow from it. Nothing's going to be built from it. This is energy that washes things away. It seeks to reconnect things actually to the greater whole and like the divine and all that is. It's the last sign of the zodiac. It's about the departiculation or the dematerialization of the things that we are in the material 3D world. So we can feel very disconnected from reality. We can feel like we're kind of in a walking daydream. And again, you know, it is a good time to spend maybe some more time in the actual dream world, or just engaging in some type of productive fantasy, maybe like along the lines of like reading a good book or like watching a really good show or something like that. But people also, you got to be careful about like drugs and alcohol when we've got a square going on between the sun and Neptune as well, because escapism, the disconnecting from reality, can go a lot of different ways. Wanting to escape reality, wanting to avoid things, and doing so through altering the mind, right, with the Gemini square as well. So if you know people that like struggle with drugs and alcohol, just be maybe a little bit careful, check on them, whatever, because this could also be presenting opportunities for like overdosing and stuff like that. So something to be mindful there as well. This can also pull into it things to do with oil, things to do with like things that happen deep under the sea, like deep undersea cables and stuff. Also like pharmaceuticals and along the lines of like drugs and mind altering substances and stuff like that. But distortions in the informational field are just what's happening when we've got this type of energy going on. Things are not going to be clear and transparent, and just don't assume that you are seeing the full story, that you're seeing both sides of things, that you are able to comprehend clearly like the full truth on any type of a matter. I will say people's versions of things are likely to be very driven by this emotional idealism on Wednesday, with the moon in Scorpio forming the trine to Neptune in the sign of Pisces, while we also have the sun in square from the sign of Gemini. And also, what I haven't even mentioned yet in the report today is that we also have an exact Black Moon Neptune opposition that is happening in conjunction with the exact square. The Black Moon has been moving through the sign of Virgo. It takes the Black Moon 9 months to transit a sign, has been transiting Virgo for the past 9 months, hits the very last degree of Virgo just exactly on the same day as the sun hits the exact square to Neptune at that 29 degrees. Well, the day before, actually, we've got the moon coming through and hitting the trine from Scorpio as well. Emotional idealism that could be in stark contrast to reality or information that we're receiving or coming up against or facing somehow. People could definitely be dealing with, you guys, some serious cognitive dissonance or like projection that's going on. Total aversion to or avoidance of reality for whatever reason. Or on the flip side, the total opposite, this Gemini energy, right? The like exactly contradictory energy could be coming through. Illusions that have somehow limited our thinking, suddenly breaking down and coming to some type of like profound realization about things, maybe some type of ugly truths with the Black Moon there, that are bringing things into some type of clarity for us somehow. But it's like, regardless of how this is playing out, it is probably still going to be quite disorienting and like undefinable, maybe unexplainable and otherworldly type experience when we do have all of this strong Neptunian energy going on. It can have the polarizing impact, I think, of on one hand presenting this illusion of fear that we might be struggling with, but like on the other hand also showing us that or breaking down fears that have always been an illusion. So it's like illusions of fear, but also the breakdown in fears that we're finding out were an illusion. Like when I was thinking about my notes earlier, like the closest type of experience like I could think about in terms of the way that this energy like feels to me, just looking at it, is like when you're having a nightmare, but like the second and you're like really into it in a dream, like an actual dream, like you're having a nightmare, but like the second that you realize that like, oh, I'm dreaming, I'm gonna wake up, like none of this is real. Or like when you wake up from the nightmare and like you have the moment of like conscious awareness that you're actually safe and that none of that was real, that it was just a dream. Like that to me, with the Black Moon in Virgo and the Pisces Neptune 29 degrees squaring the sun, like that to me is what this feels like. The moment in the nightmare that's very, very real, but the moment that you realize, okay, actually, wait, this isn't real, this is just a nightmare, and I'm gonna wake up from this and it's actually an illusion and everything is fine, like that realization, I feel like that's sort of like what we're dealing with here in the context of like how this particular energy is coming up. But like regardless, it's still a little bit like confusing and disorienting, even in the process of realizing that you're going to wake up and that none of that was real to begin with. So coming up against fears that are presenting that are actually not real and actually not an illusion, and also the breakdown of maybe the fears that have been holding us hostage somehow that we're realizing are not and were never real. And it's also interesting because remember I was talking about the North Node earlier, the destiny point, the divine timing and the divine alignment associated with all this. The North Node right now is actually at 13 degrees of Aries. That Sabian symbol is a bomb which failed to go off, is now safely hidden from discovery. So it's like the threats, the perceived threats, the apparent threats, like the fear that maybe had been holding us in some type of state or whatever, are coming to realize that it was never real, it was always an illusion, and it's actually like been removed somehow and is no longer going to be affecting the experience. And that's also how I feel. Like, I love that it's happening at the 29 degree, because this really is like with the black moon, the fears, or even reflecting on, or even like unconscious fears maybe, that have held us in some state of like suspended animation, or in a state of like personal delusion in the context of our own capabilities and stuff like that. Like, that is what is being washed away. That is what is being broken down. That is what is being carried out with the tide. And like, what's going to remain is going to be this like redefined, like recalibrated perception of our own capabilities, and the way that our mind is like thinking and like computing and making decisions and stuff like that is going to be altered as a result of whatever we're letting go of, and whatever we're discovering, whatever illusions are breaking down in this energy. So there is this strong detachment from logic that I do feel like is coming through this week in favor of these emotions and these feelings and the ideals, especially on Wednesday with the trine going on with the Scorpio moon. Very dreamy day. As I was saying earlier, we need to all fall back into sort of the feminine energy of things, detach, disconnect, cleanse, surrender. Spectacular week, as I said, for letting things go, transitions, endings, moving on, saying goodbye, allowing this water energy to cleanse, purify, and remove what it is in our life that is like holding us like an anchor to the version of ourselves that is also being cleansed in this energy, as we embrace the new paradigm energetically that we are moving towards now, indicated by the North Node in Aries and Pluto's transit through the sign of Aquarius, which we talk about all the time, entering our leadership era, reaching for our true like purpose and alignment with a latent destiny that has been waiting for us to activate it. This is a time we're really coming alive right now as we go through this shift of ages, narrating the shift of the ages, and begin to root and anchor the frequencies of the new Aquarian age to our reality, to the paradigm and the planet now. And that requires a process of self-actualization. That requires this personal like process of alchemization, where we break our karmic cycles and detach from states of victimhood and embrace the path to self-actualization in alignment with our higher selves and our true potential and this destiny. Like, it all comes back to essentially the same story. But the reason why that's significant to say in the context of this energy right now is because this is like a significant release point and a very strong opportunity for us to out with the old, right? Making room for what's going to come in with the next tide, sweeping in something brand new that will support our growth and our progress moving forward. What's going out, right? The black moon, fears, worries, doubts, shadows, unhealed traumas within us, the karmic wounds that have clouded our judgment or distorted our view or perception of ourselves, our path, and our potential moving forward. These are fated endings that are coming through right now. So, with the Cancer energy coming in right now as well, this is a really good week to show yourself, to show your family some extra love, with especially this emphasis on emotional endings going on right now. People are likely to be very affectionate and kind of craving and needing comfort and support. So be that for the loved ones in your life that might be going through some of this emotional ending stuff as well this week. Thursday, as I've said, I've been so like, I feel like yesterday and today I'm just like all over the place. So sorry about that, but we're going to talk about Thursday more in depth now. This is the day we have the exact square that goes on between the Sun and Neptune. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk about in a little more detail right now. Be very careful with the version of things that you are allowing to motivate you. Projection and the intention perhaps to deceive a lot of times is a thing when we've got a Sun squaring Neptune, especially between the signs of Gemini and Pisces. This could definitely be in terms of maybe the news media or kind of like mass information that has significance on a macrocosm level somehow. Also in terms of definitely gossip and rumors and false narratives being spread. We also on Thursday, when we do have the exact square going on between the sun and Neptune, and the black moon's in exact opposition to Neptune, we also have the moon in Sagittarius and an exact opposition to Jupiter. So this is some big feelings, okay? This is going to be a big mouth, also some big emotions going on, outpouring of emotions perhaps, but also this is definitely going to enhance the like gossip, rumors, false narratives, spread of thing type of stuff like that. So be in with a very polarized, like hard to differentiate between like fact and fiction, fantasy and reality right now. Be very, very, very careful what you're buying into and what, like I said, version of the story you are allowing to motivate your choices and decisions in this energy. Most of what is going on right now, again, it is some type of an illusion. And with the black moon in opposition, it is triggering people to see the worst in things and to see things as worse than they actually are. But there is no staying power in any of this. That's what people are not going to realize. Again, this is very illusory what we're going through right now. Things are not as they appear. There's no staying power. And a lot of what we're seeing is the projection of an illusion of fear that is coming back to us somehow. It may really seem like all that is being reflected back to you in this energy maybe is some like type of darkness that you're dealing with because of this alignment, but it is really to present an opportunity, the moon opposite moon reflecting on Jupiter in Gemini, for a growing awareness, Jupiter in Gemini, that you really are actually the light and that fear is simply the inversion of faith. Fear is to put faith in evil rather than to put faith in good, okay? It's to put faith in the darkness rather than in the light. And in this alignment, especially again with that reflection simultaneously happening between the moon and Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. This is the bigger perspective, okay? This is the truth. And that is where our opportunity for this growing awareness actually comes in the context of this aspect, allowing us to learn the lesson that what? That the fear was always the illusion as we wake up from perhaps maybe some type of nightmare to realize that it's actually all going to be okay. We can surrender the fear to the higher power with the faith that we're going to be taken care of, right? That we're going to be protected, that we're going to have everything that we need. All of this Cancer energy coming through as well. This energy is juxtaposing and putting us sort of in a position where the visible world and the invisible world are coming up against each other. Our job right here is to reframe our mind in a way that we can surrender the fears, surrender the worries, surrender the doubts and the feelings of discouragement and like we can never do it, be it or make it, to the higher power, trusting that the opportunities will be there when we need them to be there, that the safety net will be there when we need it to be there, and we will be protected, and that the time is right. And the reason why I'm saying those things is because of all this Cancerian energy that is offsetting this square, and that is what we're moving into next. We are moving, the sun is at 29 Gemini, so the sun will then enter the sign of Cancer. That is the home, that is the family. The home and the family could be playing a very significant role somehow over the next coming weeks. Aside from it just generally being Cancer season, like the way that this transition between the sun leaving Gemini and the square with all this energy and the sun entering the sign of Cancer, our solstice, like something maybe this solstice that holds a greater significance about just being very supportive of the family unit, or doing what we can to be a caretaker and to be able to receive as well help and support from others. I don't know, could be just more important this Cancer season and this summer solstice for whatever reason. Also, as I said, remember the moon in the moon in Sagittarius opposite Jupiter will then go on and form a trine to the North Node in the sign of Aries. The bomb which failed to go off is now safely hidden from discovery. This is divine alignment, and we are being protected when maybe we didn't even know that there was some type of threat that was present, or the perceived threats have always been an illusion. It's always been a hoax, okay? Things are not as they appear in this energy, okay? So false fears, false threats, the reality is there is nothing to worry about, and anything that seems to be presenting as something of real concern in this energy is also likely to not translate into what it seems to be, because there's no real grounding force behind this Neptunian energy. However, I do think, as I've been saying, that simply us going through the process, surrendering to what's going on right now, being able to let go, being able to release, being able to, even if it's just rest or relax in some way, it's going to energetically rewire or reprogram a dimension of our consciousness somehow that will assist in this process of release from the old paradigm of thought and belief, the Gemini energy and the Pisces energy. And this is literally going to be changing people's lives. I think people, whether they can decipher it or not, this is probably going to mark somewhat of a turning point emotionally and mentally in terms of what we're focused on, what we're holding on to, and the way that our beliefs and thoughts are either holding us inside a box or allowing us to kind of like open our mind and expand into new opportunities and new perspectives and stuff like that. Not everyone, of course, will go through this at the same time, but definitely the people that are already attuned to and receptive to these frequencies will probably notice this type of thing playing out. Now, on the other hand, I do think a lot of people who are not so attuned or receptive to the way that the energy is coming in right now and are more ingrained and enmeshed with the matrix and the past paradigm that's on its way out right now. I do think there could also be people suffering some real mental health and even physical health breakdowns, either as a part of their upgrade process that they need to go through, or, as I said, because of being just so enmeshed and attached to the old ways of being and the old frequencies that are breaking down and leaving, that are also being washed out right now as we are going through this process of shifting ages and the age of Pisces. Remember, we are transitioning out of the age of Pisces, which is another reason why I was sort of talking about earlier, like the role that I do feel like this particular configuration is playing at this point in time in the greater process of helping us all to become better vessels, essentially, for the incoming age of Aquarius energy that is going to be rooting itself to the planet over this next 20 years and then bridging forth into the next 2,000 years. It's because with Neptune's the ruler of Pisces. Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces, Neptune will retrograde. Neptune is not about to enter Aries, actually. Neptune is going to retrograde coming up here soon and is going to backtrack a little bit, and then we're going to have to go through another, transit of Neptune coming through this last several degrees of the zodiac and coming back to 29 degrees before he does finally enter the sign of Aries. However, with him being at 29 degrees of Pisces right now, and the configurations that we have underway, it's like the fears of the past, the black moon there, it's literally like the collective shadow that has Saturn and Pisces as well, like controlled the narrative and the belief systems and the thinking, and therefore the boxes that we have, like that our thinking has remained within over this past 2,000 years. Like this is a literal breakdown of that. Like we are exiting the age of Pisces with Neptune at 29 Pisces, opposite the black moon, squaring the sun. We've got the moon there and opposite Jupiter. This is helping us to disconnect from that paradigm, the ways of thinking associated with that paradigm, the belief systems associated with that paradigm, as we are about to be more mentally activated in a different way, a very different way, a radically different way, moving into the age of Aquarius. So that's why I do astrology this way. Like there's so many ways to do astrology. I could just do signs and natal charts and stuff, but honestly, I feel like it's so much more effective and conducive to the mission right now, the universal mission of all of us in this lifetime, which is getting on that path to the self-actualization, to begin to anchor in these new frequencies coming in right now because of where we're at and this just constantly unfolding cosmic blueprint. That's why I like to do astrology this way, because when we understand why this is all happening, it's easier to see like our specific role in it, and then to see how the influences that are happening on this, greater collective level are trickling down to like our own particular self and our own particular mission, and we can find our piece of the puzzle that is missing in the greater whole. And I really feel like it's always important to know like why something is happening. Like, it's not enough to just know that everything is crazy right now and I'm going through these changes and I no longer am the person that I used to be, and I don't like any of the things that I used to like, and I'm having a really hard time relating to the people that I've always associated with, and all of this and all of this and all of this, and to have no real grounded understanding of like, okay, this is happening, but why this is happening. If we understand why this is happening, that we are actually here on some type of a divine mission, playing a role that is not only like realigning the trajectory of humanity going forward in correspondence with the cosmic blueprint, but also like severing the karmic ties from the past that have been keeping us perpetually trapped in these loops of whatever karmic ongoing that have been going on for the past 2,000 years. Like, this is a really powerful moment in time. And if you're experiencing major life changes right now, I just want to help you understand where those are fitting into the overall plan that is going on right now, that I don't feel like it's fair that we don't know about. Okay, so that is why I choose to do astrology this way. Not that anybody asked, but I just guess that was the time to say it. So anyways, depression and discouragement, of course, idealism, like that's one of the main problems with this. I talked about this a bit earlier. It's coming through in the symbolism too. We'll talk about it in a minute. Don't get down on yourself. Again, this is a purification energy. This is this is a time to cry, okay? If you've got some strong emotions coming through, like maybe there are some things that you need to let out, and maybe it's not even necessarily anything that you know why you feel that way. It could be things that are lingering from lifetimes, or again, this like generational karma that is being like washed out, cleansed, purified. And with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius right now, like we're about to go through some major transformations, like on a soul and subconscious level as well, that are again aligning us with these new incoming Aquarian frequencies. But don't give up, you guys. Don't quit, okay? If you feel the need to, do disconnect, do escape from reality, do it in a way that is not self-detrimental. Be real careful with the drugs and alcohol. Go on a vacation. Be careful with water when it comes to important technological devices and stuff like that. But like, take a break, get some extra sleep, do what you can for yourself. Don't worry if you feel like you're not living up to your ideals. This is the illusion. Listen to the symbolism. We currently have Neptune, of course, at 29 Pisces, the last degree of the zodiac. That Sabian symbol is a majestic rock formation resembling a face, is idealized by a boy who takes it as his ideal of greatness, and as he grows up begins to look like it. So we're literally talking about ideals of greatness being projected. The position of the sun, Gemini, 29 degrees of Gemini. That Sabian symbol is a parade of bathing beauties before large beach crowds. So again, like displays of idealism and perfection. If you feel like you're falling short of your ideals of greatness or your ideal image for yourself or something in this energy, don't attach to that. That is the illusion. You are not falling short. You are going through a process of releasing anything that would keep you from being able to move towards that particular ideal. We also, remember, have the North Node at that degree, the bomb that failed to go off, safely hidden from discovery. Fear is the illusion. Also, the Black Moon right now, 29 degrees of Virgo. That Sabian symbol is an urgent task to complete. A man does not look to any distractions. So we are learning what it is that we need to focus on, okay, in order perhaps to align ourselves with a straighter path to maybe that ideal or that goal that we feel like we need to move towards or achieve right now. Lastly, the position of the earth, you guys, always in an opposition to the sun, 29 degrees of Sagittarius. That Sabian symbol is the Pope blessing the faithful. So fear is the illusion. Have faith, you guys. Surrender the burden to the divine with the faith that things are working for you. Blessings are on the way. We have to release the old dimensions of ourselves that are falling away right now so that we can become the version of ourselves that is activating within us in this energy, and moving forward will definitely be beginning to emerge if it hasn't so already. So that's what I have to say, you guys, in terms of the astrology as it's playing out today. In terms of the tarot message that we've got going on, let's talk about that. Again, these are the cards that we have: the Queen of Wands and the Four of Cups. This is not being able to see our potential, not being able to see our power, not being able to embrace the truth of who we are and what we can be and what we can become and our talents and our capabilities. On the back of the deck, we've got the Seven of Pentacles. Again, this is a sense of discouragement with what is not growing into what we would expect, with the amount of effort and work we put into things not translating into the bounty or the abundance or the harvest that we would like to see. When we've got a Black Moon in Virgo, I've been talking about for the past 9 months how this energy emphasizes and triggers our fears of failure. Virgo is a sign about being able to bring something to a successful harvest, or to heal something, or to cultivate something, and to produce. When we have a Black Moon in Virgo, this is the fear of failure. This is a fear or a doubt or a worry or an anxiety associated with what we cannot do, what we are not perfect at, what we are not capable of, what we are unable to do. And this might be a very apparent sentiment or feeling that we feel like we're dealing with, or that even is what we feel like is being reflected back to us in this energy. Under the Seven of Pentacles, we had the Tower card though. So it's changes are coming, you guys, and they are, let me tell you. As we move into the month of July, I mentioned this in a video not too far back, we are gonna have a Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus. That is going to create some sudden changes. That is definitely going to create some shifts and movements going on. So things are not going to be as they are right now, okay? This is the illusion. Things are not as they appear. Don't get discouraged. You can do it. You are you are powerful, okay? You are capable. You have everything you need within you. You are the king and the queen in your own kingdom. You are the author of your own story. So if you're down on yourself, don't worry about it. Process, release, let it out, get it out. Clean, even wash things away, get in water, baths, Epsom salts, magnesium. Somebody said in the comments the other day, I definitely am about that as well. But be careful with your phone. So that's what I have to say. Let's get a synchronicity card now, you guys. Ask for one more message. God, Spirit, Universe. Oh wow, we've already got one coming out, and right in alignment with literally what I was just saying. It says persist. Okay, we're not gonna throw in the towel in all of this water energy, okay? Because of his persistence, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened to you. Luke 11:8-9. Nothing is too large or too small, and your persistence in believing in God's ability to provide whatever it is you seek will bring you to your goal. Persistence, waiting, patience, and never failing faith will lead you to your goal. That's exactly what I was saying. The position of the earth, the state of things on the ground, the Pope blessing the faithful, okay? The fear, the discouragement, the weakness, the lack of capability, that is literally all just the illusion. We need to persist, we need to have patience, and we're moving in the right direction. It's just, this is the out breath, you guys. So that's what I have to say. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested in this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments. I'm so grateful for your comments. I really, really appreciate your feedback. Your presence on my channel means so much to me, you guys. I'm so thankful for you. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this here whiteboard over here, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box where I post a link to where I post those photos. And come back with me on Friday, you guys. We've got a busy weekend of astrology going on. We have our summer solstice on Friday. Sun enters Cancer. We need to look at that. And we've also got a full moon in Capricorn happening at 1 degree of Capricorn and Cancer on Saturday. So we're going to have a jam-packed, fully loaded report for the weekend. I will be here. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you next time, guys. Have a beautiful midweek. And until then, bye.